Evening, welcome to Slamfire Radio, episode 560. I'm one of your hosts, Kyle.
I'm another one of your hosts, Kelly.
And I'm Adriel.
I'm Kelly.
The other Kelly.
The other.
Hi.
Hello.
It's great to see you again.
You as well. It's been a minute. It's been like 2 years since I've been on.
The last time you were on, we were talking about
Rust.
props and what had happened on Rust. And well, before we hit the go live button, we were talking about that. So maybe we can get a little bit of an update with what we did in guns this week. But I'll go back to Kyle because I'm not the lead host.
Just take the wheel,
You
Kelly.
can. You
Take
can
the wheel.
take it. You can have the wheel.
No, I'm good. I'm good with being in the background. Really?
Well, Kelly, why don't you tell us what you got up to in guns?
Okay, so it's been a couple of weeks since I've been on. Still got a cough. I heard last week's show. It was fantastic. Dave did a really good job of recapping our known distance that was taking place in CFP Borden. I wanted to give him and Chris a huge shout out for enabling us to get a known distance up and running and bringing us to CFP Borden. We did have our known distance, and known distance is shooting a Project Maple Seed event, but we're posting the targets at the actual distance. So 100, 200, 300, and 400. I know that we explained this in an earlier episode, so go back and listen to that. Using the BUT system was probably the best thing ever. There was some learning points. But I just wanted to say congratulations to Brian Bolivar as well, because he is Canada's first known distance rifleman. He received a really cool patch, and he also received a box of KD because KD, Canada Craft Dinner, our boxes of Craft Dinner are called KD. And Rick and I signed it for him, so it's a cool thing. That's worth money, by the way. And yeah, so we'll be doing more of those. There was some learning moments. Learning moments will be things like, for example, there was some misunderstanding whether you had to be a rifleman or not to be at the event. It was posted, however, people signed up, and we said, okay, just come. Some other learning points were on sighters and limiting the time for that and the amount. And then also just looking at mags and different things, what people can use. The BUT system worked really, really well. I heard Dave say that we were slow in the BUTs. We were not slow in the BUTs. We were waiting for them to actually get their butts in gear and shoot. I think it was the other way around. I'm going to leave that right like that. Yeah, it was a bunch of fun. Loved it. CFP Borden is the only base, I think, in Canada that I haven't been to yet. It was weird. I've never been there before. The other thing that I did was I did the club level ATT the week before, handgun ATT with Kelly Kincaid, the actual other Kelly. So we went and did that. We brought in, I think, six new members who wanted to bring their handguns to Frontenac Pistol and Rifle Club. I loved it. They all did really, really well. Super simple. They were super safe. We'll continue to do that. I've signed up for a orientation again. So in June, we're going to be opening up our wait list again. So we've been running through approximately about 75 to 100 people a year, 4 sessions of 25 people each. And with that, our wait list is opening. So we're plugging through that. So that's going to be happening in July sometime. This week, what's happening is I'm getting on a plane and I'm going to be heading out to PEI in 2 days. So Kelly Kincaid and I are again, it's Kelly's Adventures 2.0. We're going to be heading out to the Lady C that's going to be happening on Big Boot, which is in Breadalbane, PEI. And so we're flying out on Friday. So we'll meet up with all the instructors down in Atlantic, Canada, have a ladies' day, and then come back on Monday. And it's a fast trip to the East Coast. But you know what? Going home, it'll be awesome. I'll get to have some fish and smell the ocean, feed some seagulls, that sort of stuff. So it'll be fun. What about you, Adriel?
Oh, a couple of things. I did that 3-gun team match on the weekend. So that was a team match is like you're going to shoot 3-gun. You're going to have a partner while you shoot it. And you kind of like both shoot each of the stages. Some of the stages have you both shooting at the same time. Some of them have you shooting it like sequentially. One person shoots and then the other person shoots. So it just kind of varies that way. I'm just cleaning the rifle I borrowed for the day. I was not able to get my reg cert in time for my Raven. So I borrowed a Raven from one of the people that we had on there, Gustavo, who's got that YouTube channel, and the colorful Raven I borrowed last time. And it ran perfectly. Everything ran perfectly on it. So actually, I didn't have any jams with any of my guns. I like cleaned them before I shot, and
That's good.
I oiled them and stuff. And this funny thing happened. I didn't get any jams.
Do you
Cool.
do you clean them? Do you clean them and then test them and then take them to? No. Right.
No. I just clean it and then shoot the match because I can't be bothered. My ranges are like an hour away, so I got to drive an hour there, hour back. I'm not going to do that just to confirm that it's working. So
I definitely do that. Safety ones.
it probably would for me too sometimes. Like every once in a while, but I did take my WSMCR out to test. So I changed the piston in it, and then I went back out to the range and promptly broke it again. So it's a good thing I didn't take it to a match and just do that again, right?
Yeah, my Versamax broke that way. On my like post clean test before you, broke a $4 pin. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I shot this Raven. Went well. It's got the Raven brake on it. And I found, and the owner warned me, he's like, hey, it might push that front down. It's got quite a bit of aggressive porting on the top here. Holy crap, did it ever push it down. Every shot, it would drive it down like from 10 meters away, a full IPSC target down, like a meteor, just cranking it down on me.
Wow.
Which made it kind of hard to shoot rapidly. Yeah. So I might sell them. I got a brake from Spectre Ballistics somewhere around here. One of their like $50 brakes. It's got mostly ports out the side and just like a couple of holes out the top. Nothing guided though. This one has. Here, let me see if I can just get some better on there.
Ooh.
Yeah, it looks really cool, but the porting is quite aggressive on the top there, and it does cause it to drive down quite bad. There wasn't actually a lot of rifle though, so that was fine. So I didn't get my reg cert in time. Took out my Shadow 2. Took out my Browning A5. It was a good match. They had a couple of different sponsors. One of them was Chaz. So Chaz is the other range that's kind of close to Edmonton here. They loaned out some targets to Sherwood Park so that they could do some long range steel and that kind of thing. Sherwood Park has like quite a few targets, but not 3-gun specific targets. So we borrowed some of those and they made the day much better. So yeah, those long range steel were really nice to shoot. I'm trying to think of how the day went. Well, I think there was like 10 stages, something like that. 10 or 8, something.
That's a lot.
8 stages. 2 days.
Okay. Yeah.
Saturday and Sunday. Yeah. So it was a 2-day match. I went out on the Friday and helped set up and camp and all that kind of stuff. And then Saturday evening, they had they fed us. They gave us supper, steak and potatoes. We watched the game on the projector.
Wow.
Pretty cush. I don't know. For the first time, like they're spoiling us pretty badly. So I don't know. Yeah. So the match went well. I sponsored some stuff, including the trophies, which were because it was a team match, right? So you had like 2 of them that would like go together. So
nice.
there's my half of the first one there, which my kid printed off and made for the match. So that's kind of neat seeing people get those and putting them together and all that kind of stuff, doing the fusion with it.
Should have painted them.
Should have painted them.
Yeah. Shine them
And
up.
stuff like that. They were different colors. I printed them of different filaments. So the first was white, and there was a blue, and there was a green. So there are different colors and that kind of thing. And then I sponsored with HGG Firearms Training. I sponsored a couple of PAL course coupons, which they went. People are like, "That's how we're going to get your mom to get her PAL," or "That's how we're going to like." So they had specific people in mind when they're getting those coupons.
Yeah.
Kind of like, you should get your PAL. Yeah, I'll do it one of these days. Okay, now here's a coupon. Go get it from this guy, and it's going to help push them, I think, to getting it. Super smart. Yeah. So we won just barely though. We had a couple of stages that went sideways on us a little bit and racked up the penalties. It was a points match, so thank goodness it was a points match. Otherwise, it would have been a real blow up. But it was close. It was a close.
So you
one.
had a couple runaway stages that saved you.
We had a couple of really good stages where like everything hooked up and we like blew everyone else out of the water. And then we had a couple stages where we had one stage that was a bit of a train wreck, but the rest of them were more or less fine. I think we had a couple of like jams or that kind of like little bobbles and that kind of thing. But those are the tiny little things. If you just have to, if you can make it so you have fewer of those than the next person, it's fine.
Yeah.
What else did I do? I reloaded a whole ton of 300 blackout. So I've got like, 200 rounds of it over here for the little rifle right up there, little non-restricted rifle up there. So I'm going to, I'm either going to take that to the range on Thursday to sight it in when they do the fun shoot or over the weekend. So we'll see what happens there. At the same time, I was like, that's reloading that 300 blackout was fun. That's like, I'm printing money while I'm doing that. Maybe I'll reload some 223. And that didn't feel as good. That didn't feel nearly as good because it took probably an hour and a half to make 100 rounds. If you really think about it, like, okay, you full length resize, you trim it, you tumble it, then you have to chamfer the case mouth. You have to remove the primer pocket, or at least sort out the ones with crimped primer pockets, which are most of them. Put those off to the side for some other day. Prime it, powder it, put a bullet in there, crimp it because it's going to go through a semi-auto rifle and it's probably going to get beat the heck. An hour and a half to make 100 rounds and save at this point, I think $20 per 100 is what I'm saving.
Ooh.
Yeah. Doesn't feel as good. Doesn't feel as good. So I made the 100 and I'm like, okay, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to just let it sit on these components, or I can use the small rifle primers for 300 blackout or for other things. I can use the powder for other things. I don't have to reload it just because I've got it. Because I'm less than minimum wage doing that stuff right now. I don't mind like making 9mm. Oh yeah, on the progressive, just cranking it out, get 1,000 rounds done in an hour. That feels good. All right, but making 100 rounds of 223 is like, I can use this in a match. Never mind like 2 or 3. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna buy it from now on. Now that the price is back down, the price will have to get up to like $800, $900, maybe $1,000 before I look at that again.
Yeah.
And then speaking of that, so I've been kind of limping my Dillon square deal along quite a bit. I cracked the frame a year ago, and another piece came off of it, like one of those guide. It's made of like cast zinc kind of a thing. And Tony's saying, I call BS on Adriel's 1,000 rounds an hour. Extra help would need. Yeah, I get my kid to act as a case feeder. If I have the child powered case feeder, I can do 1,000 rounds an hour.
On your
it is
square
possible deal. On a square deal. Yeah. But you need
impressive.
the child powered case feeder is required. And you need all your primer tubes bombed up.
Yep.
You can't.
Yeah, because I do that on a 650.
Yeah, I was gonna say my 550 with the auto feeder. Yeah, an hour would be pushing it still.
I didn't have the bullet feeder. I was placing every bullet, but yeah, I could do 1,000 in an hour on the 650. So on yours, yeah, that's pretty good.
It's basically the same thing. I have a child case feeder. You have a real case feeder. Like placing the bullet's not bad. You're placing it as you're pulling the handle down. You're pulling it up, grab another bullet, putting it on. Like it's very easy to keep up a good pace there. You just need someone putting the cases in or something putting the cases in. So, yeah, I just get a child to do that, and the rounds just melt away. Anyways, yeah. Oh, and the thing that really stopped me. So the broken frame and all that kind of stuff. I was just had some C clamps on that thing. I was still using it. But the thing that really stopped me was I mangled my last, where the primers come out of the tube at the bottom. There's like this little plastic piece. I mangled my last one, and now I need some more. So I emailed Dylan. I'm like, yo, here's some pictures. Here's this frame part, this primer part. So I just paid the shipping because the parts are actually free. They'll mail them to you free, but you need to pay for the shipping. So I just paid for some shipping for some parts to be sent out to me. So
That's not bad though. I love that about Dylan. Like if you break a piece off of a machine you bought from them, they'll give it to you. Like,
Oh yeah.
I didn't even buy the machine from them. I bought it used.
Yeah, if you own
Bought
one
it
of
used
their
like
machines,
10
they
years
are
ago for like $400, and it came with 8 pounds of powder and a bunch of bullets, and it has the 38 and 357 and 9mm heads for it.
good deal.
Yeah, and I keep using the free warranty. It costs $30 for shipping or whatever, but still making use of it. This weekend I'm gonna go camping with my family at Sherwood Park, I think, and so I might hit the range. That's a distinct possibility. So if my reg cert gets here, I'll probably take that Raven out and get some rounds in with that and sight it in so it's ready for a 3-gun competition. And I'll probably take that 300 blackout out there, and I don't know, go grab another thing or two, depending. That's about it for me. What about you, Kyle?
well, shot our local USPSA match on Saturday, and yeah, we picked out some fun stages. There were shorter stages, but they were fun and shot pretty decent. So I ended up getting second overall.
Ooh.
And the guy who got first is Carry Optics Master. And so I ended up getting like 90% of his score. And the next shooter was 76. Oh, there's an echo going on there.
That has been me.
But yeah. So overall, it went good. I did end up with one mic, but that was just, it wasn't that tight. It was a tight shot, went through the barrel. So yeah, I ended up being a mic on that, or being called a mic. Finally shot a decent classifier. I shot a B level classifier. It was TikTok, and then looking at it, it was almost an A level, but I fumbled the mandatory reload on that one a little bit. But so I was pretty happy to log a decent classifier stage, and walked away with a couple overall stage wins as well. So yeah, overall.
Did you get bumped up in classification? Are you still C now? No?
No, I'm C. I'll be C for a while, but it knocked quite a bit because the rest of my scores, like I think I only have a couple that are into C. Not so. But
you should tell people when you get like second or first or that kind of thing, you should be like, yeah, I just started it this year. That's just a classification from earlier in the year. I tried this gun. It seemed all right. I don't really know much about them though.
Yeah, but yeah, hopefully soon. Well, I don't know how many local USPSA matches I'll be shooting because next month I'll be up in Minnesota, so I'll miss hours. I won't be in Roswell this weekend because I'm going to go destroy my body instead. And yeah, so I don't know when the next USPSA match is that I will shoot. But yeah, finally used the Axel X-Core Ear Pro for shooting. And usually with in-ear, and it's something I've just dealt with, sometimes you have to adjust them because they'll loosen up, and that I didn't have to touch them all day. They were really good. They just stayed in place, didn't have a sense of loudness, like the really good cutout. And yeah,
I'm super interested in those.
well, they seem to always have deals on. Like I've been running with them and they don't move around at all. It's nice not having the cord behind your neck.
Yeah.
And so like this was my first time shooting with them, and I'm super impressed with their performance on the range. So far so good. high review from me. But yeah, I gotta get to the range at some point, get some more training in because Nationals coming up. But like I said, this weekend I won't be, because Saturday I'm going to go destroy my body and go run a half marathon. So Sunday I will be laid up, not being able to do anything. So
You'll be fine. It'll be
last
great.
time I ran one was 12 years ago, and I couldn't do anything for 2 days afterwards. So, but yeah, that's it for me. Dustin, how about you?
I have done some gun stuff lately. I did some dry fire practice the last couple of weeks because there is a 2-day match coming up that I thought I was going to until my partner very recently let me know we were going to Kelowna that weekend. So that was unfortunate, but I still got lots of practice in. I even took the time to break out the AR and do a little bit of practice with that, just like kind of hopeful. I'm feeling the hopefuls that like a year from now, I'm going to shoot that thing again. But did that. I also did some reloading, the painful 223 reloading. Did a little bit of that, gave up. Did a whole bunch of reloading 9mm because, yeah, that's been the cheapest way to shoot a bunch of 9mm lately. Went and did a range day, tightened up my handgun shooting just a little bit because that's really where I was losing things last year when I was doing some 3-gun stuff, is just tightening up and getting a little bit more accurate with it. And then I'm also preparing for the thing that we're going to talk about next. Prepping my conversation with my MP again. So that's been the other thing on my like gun to-do list for a while. Yeah, that's I'm also I started some more work on a like gun YouTube project with a bunch of other homos in the area. We all kind of shoot together and wanted to do a fun. It was a thing that we started a couple of years ago, and then when we weren't sure where things were going to be at, gun-wise in Canada, all of a sudden none of us really wanted to put what was left of our private collections on the internet.
Yeah.
Regardless of its legality, we just and it was really sad because we had like good momentum with it. We had shot some stuff, had a bit of stuff in the can, kind of a like planned production date for everything, and then we just kind of put the brakes on it. But this last week we have started up our production meetings again, and we're probably going to shoot some stuff this summer and might actually launch in the fall, which is pretty exciting.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you're going to do that on YouTube?
Probably across all the platforms. I know
Okay.
YouTube's got all of their new fun policy changes,
Right.
which really sucks because like one of the things I wanted to utilize was the Firearms business license that I have, right? And we're like, oh, well, all of the positives of that business license kind of go away with YouTube now. But you can put a lot of that stuff on several platforms. People are using Twitter. People are using, it kind of go everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't really care because we're not looking to make money off of it. It's
Yeah.
more just being a different voice in that space, being the weird blue-haired dude makes a living in the arts. I'm not your typical gun bro, I guess, but yeah, I don't know. I can approach things from kind of a still knowledgeable perspective, I guess.
Right.
And, just make some of that stuff a little bit more accessible. There's so many queer folk who are into guns, and I just don't see their representation online in any way, and I want to change that.
Yeah. So you're not the only person that I've talked to that wants to have more representation within the gun community as well. I have a really good friend of mine who is East Indian, and it's the exact same thing. He says there's no brown people.
No, none. No. And which is wild because like you go to any match and that's not true.
Right.
That's what's really fascinating. Like you go to a match and you're like, this is the picture of diversity in a lot of ways, and you just don't see that represented in the media side online. And but yeah, there's a bunch of us. We have a giant pool of guns, and I've got friends on the other side of the border with other stuff that's a little bit more fun, or maybe we can
Right.
like a little bit more flexible to shoot. So being this close to America makes that achievable too. So yeah.
No, it's great. I think that it's great. We have some very diverse people, even on the podcast tonight. You know, I'm not
Yeah.
your typical gun owner and advocate, and neither are you. And
Nope.
you know, you have Kyle with his haircut. Maybe he is more of the stereotypical. I'm not picking on you, Kyle. But you know, you're more likely to be seen as a stereotypical. You're, you know, a male in his prime, and you love your, you know, AR-15 that you're legally allowed to shoot down the U.S. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
We're envious.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are. Not judging.
No.
I am.
Well, I can get that.
But yeah, so that's what's been on my docket. I'm going to have a very busy summer and probably a very busy fall. So it'll be good.
So at the beginning of the coming on, like as I said, we were 5 minutes late, but we were talking about the impacts of rust has had on you and what you do as part of your job as an armorer, right? So do you want to talk about that a little bit, because we will get into another subject in a little bit.
It's so sad. It's really sad. Live fires dying rapidly. Like doing blank fire on set. I think Netflix's policy is just no. Like just no. And it's a real shame because you can see the difference, especially in certain properties and certain places. I think that there should be a place for it. It's literally like one of the safest departments, which is weird. Like there's been 3 accidents ever, and you know, I think it's a shame. But it's definitely affected me. I know it's affecting other folks. Like everybody here, you know, most people are just supervising gas guns now for the most part. And the one thing I will say is that for the most part, I'm seeing a lot more like people interested in the safety aspect of the guns on set. So like, you know, when we're clear and safing guns on set, there's more people that are like, oh yeah, that's a clear and safe gun. Like, because we always like make it clear, anybody that wants to come be a part of the like safety clearing before we welcome, come. I'm happy to show you that this gun is safe and clear. Happy to. That is why I'm there. But yeah, blank fire is dying a slow death. There's still shows that are keeping it afloat. Like I know Last of Us is doing a bunch of live fire because it looks good. And then at the same time, the show I was on will remain nameless because there were some people that didn't learn anything from Rust, and some stories I tell you guys maybe off camera, because some I feel bad for the prop master on that. She called me a couple of times in tears because there was some stuff that happened on days I wasn't there. Yeah. Just some people didn't get the memo about like being safe on set with stuff. So
the memo was a news story and criminal trial and insurance hit and
year of conversation. Yeah, it's absolutely bananas. You know, having to tell people no, don't bring live ammunition to set is still a thing apparently. So,
can you tell us what has happened since all of that? What happened to the armorer? What's happened?
So the armorer got convicted. I think they're still waiting on the actual Alec Baldwin trial.
Yeah.
So she got convicted, rightfully so. That's just a reality. Anybody that thinks like, oh, I want to be an armorer, I want to supervise guns on set, what you're actually saying is you want to be the person responsible if something goes wrong with a firearm, right? Like it's not like all fun and playing around with guns on set. Your job there is safety. That is your number one job, and she didn't do that job well, and that's why she's in jail now. At the end of the day, I stand by. So much of the responsibility of what happened is on her shoulders, not entirely, but I think that I don't know. It's one of those weird things because folks in the gun community who maybe aren't used to being on set or don't have a concept for like how that world works a little bit can have certain viewpoints on whose responsibility it ultimately is, and there's definitely some blame to go around. It was a tiny budget show where somebody was wearing 3 hats instead of 1. But also there was some dicking around that was happening that sort of facilitated the bad things to go wrong. And I know we talked about it at great length. Several things went wrong. There were so many tiers of safety that were ignored for that to happen. So yeah.
Yep, ineptitude.
So-
I'm
sorry.
wondering if so. There was ultimately it was her responsibility, but I also think that Alec Baldwin. I'm not sure if we'll ever see him in court.
It's really hit or miss. I know they're still pursuing him pretty heavily, and I actually support that on two bases. One, he lied. He definitely pulled the trigger.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I don't think he pulled the trigger, but you, me, everybody that's ever handled a single action revolver knows that his finger was on the trigger. That's how the gun went off. But we all know what happened, and so there's some the liability there is that he lied. That, you know, if he had said, yeah, I thought the gun was clear and I was doing a thing and I'm just inexperienced, so I don't know not to have my finger on the trigger while I'm doing this thing, that would be one thing. But he lied. And the other thing, and I guess this is a little bit like the Beat Down Me, who came up that ladder of kind of like abusive low budget film, is that as an executive producer, and I realize that for the most part you get that vanity credit just for being a famous person on a show.
Correct.
But if you are going to call yourself a producer and you want to wear that hat on a production, then you are also responsible when you've got a head of department screaming for help in multiple interoffice memos, like begging for more help in a position where there should have been resources allocated for help. So, I'll be curious to see how that goes. But it's definitely affected things up here. There's a lot less gunplay on set and a lot less like blank fire stuff on set.
Wonderful. Those movies, everything that we watch, you know, we're always we are gun owners are the biggest critiques of the gunplay on the movies, right?
Oh,
Right?
the messages I get all the time. Like,
What the hell was that?
Like, well, talk to the guys who did it. I didn't work on it. I don't know. Like, yeah. It's frustrating.
Yeah, anyways. All right. Well, thanks for letting us know of your thoughts and opinions and how it's actually been working.
Absolutely.
To not support you. There's been a lot going on. Let's be truthful. There's been a lot going on with the film industry, and that's just one of the things that have affected the film industry in Canada. But
it's in a bust cycle right now. The film industry is just like the oil industry, just like many boom and bust industries. We're in a bust cycle. I got into it in a bust cycle, so I knew what I was getting into when I started. So that's fine. It'll be fine. A couple more years, and either AI will have completely deleted all of our jobs, or I'll be back to work.
perfect.
I don't think CG does a very good job of the gun going off. So I think
No.
the job is still safe.
All right, but on that, real quick, just take a little. One of the things that I've been working on with my business partner in a prop building shop has been actively replacing bad like CGI gas gun fire with good building barrels with like good muzzle flash, so that you can actually flash a room, because that's the problem with CGI fire, right? Is that they can put the little muzzle flash pop on the thing, but you don't see the flash in the room, right? Mm-hmm. So we have been building our own demise slowly in that world, and I have been a part of that. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. You have to progress though, right?
Oh yeah.
You have to overcome any gap, and then you figure out your next business part.
Well, at the end of the day, there's always, I think, going to be some people who are interested in it. I've worked with directors who are like, no, I want live fire. That's why live fire will continue to exist, because there will be directors who can tell the difference, who do care. I worked with one a couple of years ago. He knew his guns. He was into guns, and it made a difference in every step of the production. And so as long as there's still folks like that, there's still going to be guns on set. There's still going to be good guns on set. There's just fewer shows like that.
Fewer shows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
More slop.
Yep.
Yeah.
You guys want to talk politics?
We'll get there.
Almost there.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Wow.
Yeah, well, let's get on to upcoming events. And for 3 Gun, we got this weekend, Mighty Peace 3 Gun is having match up in Peace River. On July 6th, Jazz 3 Gun. On July 13th, Sherwood Park is having a 3 Gun. On the 19th, July 19th, Canadian Multi-Gun Series in Guelph. And then July 20th, 21st, Summer Brutality at Joe Rich Sportsman Association. And like always, all of those, except for my piece, is on Practice Core.
Cool.
And for Maple Seeds, Adriel, Kelly, who wants to do them?
Kelly's going to be in PEI this weekend,
Yeah.
right?
Hey, just
Big
so
group.
you know, there is still spots available on the Saturday. We have not sold out. However,
Mhm.
we have over the last week, we've had a lot of people sign up. So there's still,
Good.
but there is still a spot available. The Lady Seed was sold out. However, that being said, we had somebody who withdrew yesterday because they were ill and they will not recover by that time. So there is only one seat available. Come out to it if you're a lady. You'll get the pleasure of working with me as well as all the rest of the Atlantic Canada instructors. We're going to have a full team there. It's going to be lots of fun. I'm going to have special treats. You know, that's it.
Cool. In Ontario, June 29th, weekend after, Blue Ridge, Ontario. They're going to have an event there. Regina Fish and Game League will be June 30th. July 2nd will be the Saskatoon Wildlife Federation. July 6th in Red Deer, Alberta. July 13th, LTV in Frankfurt. LTVFG.
Lower
Sold
Trent
out, though.
Valley Fishing Game.
Yeah, Lower Trent. Sold out. July 14th, North Peace Rod and Gun Club in Fort St. John is sold out, but the 15th still has spots available. And then Bulkley Valley Smithers will be the weekend. No, a couple days after that.
Yep.
There's some more events all on mapleseedrifleman.com/events.
Correct. Come out.
Cool. HGG Firearms Training has some spots open for July 20th for the PAL and 21st for the RPAL at Sherwood Park Fishing Game.
Somebody
Shilling
might.
it up, Dustin. I'm shilling it up.
I was going to say, shameless plug. I love it.
Hey, I support that. Get
Yeah.
people into shooting.
Absolutely.
I was really curious about getting into that several years ago, but Rod had kind of let me know how challenging that was getting that set up in BC, and that dissuaded me.
Yeah, we can talk after if you want.
Yeah.
Didn't see any news stuff this week.
No, there
No,
hasn't
I don't
been
think so.
really, has there?
No.
I'm thinking back. I haven't heard anything.
What there was, wasn't there just someone who was again out on bail just shot up somewhere in Ontario? I thought that no, maybe not.
That guy who did the road rage thing and took a knife out and was like threatening on bail, and it's out again.
Yeah,
he was on bail when he threatened that guy with the knife, and they just let him out again.
What could possibly go wrong?
I don't know.
Yeah.
This guy seems fine to me.
Kelly,
Decisions.
Yeah.
I have opinions. I'm not allowed to express them. That's all.
Why are you letting these people out of jail, Kelly?
I was going to
I'm
say,
not letting them
This is your
out.
department.
Kelly's just letting them
even-
walk right out the door.
Bail.
Right.
They haven't even gotten to us yet.
I thought you
They're
guys were
out on
supposed
bail.
I think you guys are supposed to fix these guys.
Judges. Those are judges that are making that decision. Judges aren't all that smart.
Oh,
Have
goodness.
them
He asks
reading
if they've
poetry or
learned their
something.
lesson, and as long as they say yes, I've learned my lesson, they just let them out again. Right?
I promise.
Are you
I
gonna
won't
do it again? No.
All
right.
Okay, so bail means that they're putting up money and they have a surety, and that they are going to promise to appear when they actually have to go through the process, right? Well, they think people will do that. Some do, some don't. And then there's some that will continue to reoffend while they're out on bail.
Mhm.
Those people generally are capped instead of being granted bail again.
But they got that guy out again.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Again, not the smartest judges in the world. Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sat through our gun trial with our judge every day. I got up at like 4:30 in the morning for 9 days to watch that firearms trial. That was upsetting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I really want to talk about that.
No, we shouldn't. We should. Let's not talk about
Let's talk about politics now, shall we?
Well, let's go into new gun stuff.
Oh, first
Yes.
the Dustin.
The new gun stuff is brought to you by Bullseye North. Need a new boomstick? Bullseye North is Canada's shooting superstore and a proud supporter of the CCFR. With a wide selection of guns and top trending gear for any shooter. You have free shipping over $250. Some exclusions do apply, and they now have $17 flat rate shipping for orders below $250. You can also subscribe to their weekly newsletter to get first access to the hottest deals.
Correct.
And right now they've got a new shipment of Cam Pro bullets in. So they've got 9mm, 115, 147 grain, and a bunch of other stuff. So if you're looking for some Cam Pro bullets, aka the cheapest bullets you can get, aside from just pure lead. And I say that with I shoot Cam Pros because they're the cheapest. They got some 38, 148 grain. What is that? The Coke can?
Cutters. Yeah.
Wad cutter. Yeah. They've got the 230 grain 45 ACP 223 bullets that you will feel frustrated loading with because not the bullet's fault, just 223 takes a lot of effort. 308, now you're printing money. Look at that. $149 for that. 44 mag, now you're printing money for real. That is really making, like, if you can reload 44 Magnum, now you're saving a pile of money.
That's
and I got cheap. Yeah, 158 grain 9mm if you like that extra thick stuff.
Everybody likes the thick stuff.
I'm gonna go upside down here on these. Inner Surplus got in some weird European cartridges, SMB stuff. They have 22 high power. I didn't know this was a thing until I was looking at Inner Surplus. They also sell the European rifles, right? So they had one. It was like a combination rifle, shotgun, and 22 high power. I'm like, what in the heck is this? It's 5.6 by 52R rimmed. It's like 5.56, but rimmed for, that break action. 70 grain SP bullet. They also got 6.5 by 55, 7 by 65R. Also one I haven't heard of before. 308 Winchester, never heard of that one before. 8 by 57, and then 7 by 64. So some interesting stuff they've got. A couple of other things if you want to look for it. So yeah, European guns and ammo. Inner Surplus has got it. Profit River. Okay, this is kind of news. This is new gun stuff. Vortex released a new line of spotting scopes. Their Crossfire line. So it's going to be a more inexpensive line of spotting scopes. And I'll just pull them all up here. Profit River has all of them. They've got the 16 to 48. That one's $369. They've got the 20 to 60. That's $439. So really reasonably priced. 16 to 48 for $369, and 12 to 36 for $299.
So you're gonna buy a couple of these and review them for us?
No. Spotting scopes are such a crapshoot because if you don't spend enough, you might as well not even have one. Because the really cheap ones are worse than your scope at spotting bullets and at holes and that kind of thing. So I don't know if maybe we're at that point. Maybe the prices have dropped so much that you can spend $300 or $400, which is the approximate range of these things, and get an okay spotting scope. But I don't know if I trust it. I don't know if I trust this kind of thing. I guess we'll have to wait to see Joe from Cyclops reviews review one of these things in his colorful language, see if the glass is worth it or not. Rangeview Sports, it's got a pre-order on Chinese SKSs. We're going to make them in no, North Silva's just bringing these things in. North Silva's bringing some in. These are $499, all matching Chinese SKSs with blade bayonets. That's interesting. No triangle bayonet on them. Anywho, they got those. Cabela's had a couple of things that were interesting today. So they've got their Wild Wednesday sale on. They've got a 1-to-8 Covenant with mount on for $219. It's pretty cheap. They've also got their Intensity 4-to-16 for $250. And then they had their Cabela's 18 gun safes on for $599, which is down from $999. I think $599 is okay for that size, though.
Yeah. I've got that exact safe in my prop truck.
Yeah. I don't do safes anymore, but yeah, there's that.
Yeah. Oh, let me go. Mr. Gun Room. I own my own home and can have this whole room a gun room. Rub
Well,
it in.
Once you move out of BC, out of Bring Cash province, then you too
Yeah, fair.
live the dream. Tenda has the cheapest 22 I've seen in a while. They've got some Federal American Eagle 22 LR. A case of 4,000 for 369. That's 9 point. What number did I put on here? I know I calculated this. 9.2 cents a round. That's the cheapest I've seen 22 in a while. You just have to buy 4,000 of them, and hope that your gun likes them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is depressing. That's the cheapest 22 LR, because before COVID, you could get some stuff for 4 cents a round.
Yep.
The cheapest stuff was 4 cents a round. I don't know why this stuff's 9 cents a round right now. I would be willing to bet my bottom dollar that 22 LR still has some ways to go. I bet you we can get it down. I bet you it'll get down to 7.
You think?
Yeah. I think the only thing that might keep prices artificially high is just like that powder demand, right? But yeah, I think you're right. I think it can come down. I'm still shooting through old supply.
Me too. I still have like a bajillion rounds of 22 LR, but we'll see. And then Delask, they brought in some new parts for the CZ Bren 2. They've got the long barrels, so barrels in 5.56, but with a long gas system rather than the short gas system. They've got the gas pistons, they've got the cups, they got the short gas pistons, they got the piston heads, they got the whole kit and caboodle for doing the conversions. If you have a short barrel Bren and you want it to go NR, they can do that now. So it says it just came in, needs to be finished using different processes, so finishing and that kind of thing. So pricing still be determined. Stand by, I'll update as we progress through them. So that's exciting to see. And speaking of the Bren 2, the Bren 3 came out. Yeah.
So something about that.
I watched a little video on it just to see what kind of differences there were. It sounds, I'm just going to give them like lightning around what some of the differences are. Heavier barrel profile. The Bren 2 had a pretty skinny barrel. They changed the gas port. Now there's no closed setting. They replaced it with a suppressor setting, which I think is a better idea, because who needs a closed gas system? They went with a monolithic upper. The other thing that they did, so I guess this is something that a lot of other modern guns are starting to do, is they replace anything that wears in the upper or lower are parts that you can replace. So they have these new steel tracks for the BCG to ride on in the upper that you can replace. They're actually screwed in there. So if you by chance shoot it so much that you wear out that stuff, you just pull those plates out and you put new ones in. And the upper is essentially lifetime, right? It won't wear out because there are no wear parts on that anymore.
That's
here's
great.
Mike. Sorry, go ahead, Dustin.
No, I was just gonna say, because the upper on the Bren is the whole rifle on the Bren, right? It's like that's the registered component. That's great.
My only question is, are they making that stuff now of a lower quality steel, so you won't get the longevity out of that track as you would of if just like a solid piece? So now you're buying parts more frequently.
I think when it was built in, it was aluminum, and now there's steel rails that they have in there. So it probably should. The thing that I would be concerned about is now you have like a few more screws on both sides that can be shot loose, right? Whereas before it was just all part of the upper. So they're fixing a problem for a very small segment of the population that puts tens of thousands of rounds through their rifle. At the cost of potential like reliability if any of those screws come loose. Although I guess you could just pull them out, like when you get the rifle, pull them off, retorque them with Loctite, and then you never have to worry about them ever again, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
For like 0.5% of people who do that.
I haven't worn out any ARs. I've shot an AR barrel out, but that was just like take that one out, put a new one on. You don't have to take the stock off anymore to take it down. So on the old one, you had to like slide the butt stock down to take the bolt out the back. Now you don't have to do that. You just pull the trigger group out, and then the bolt and all that kind of stuff comes out the back. So the stock can stay on. The fore end can be removed with like 2 buttons. There's like 2 buttons on the side that you can press, and then the fore end just comes off, which is kind of wild.
More screws.
And then they made some minor changes to the stock and that kind of thing. So they put a reinforcing aluminum at the rear of the receiver where it connects to the stock, so it won't ever wear out. and that kind of thing. None of this matters to us because it's only available in Select Fire at the moment.
Oh, well, I mean,
Yeah.
that could matter to me.
Yeah, there's some people out there it could matter to. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, eventually, maybe once this, kerfuffle in Ukraine is over, maybe they'll start making some of those in semi-auto for us out here.
Maybe.
For us plebs.
We can hope.
You can hope. Anyways, that's all I got for the gun stuff.
Sweet.
Okay. All right. Well, now we can get into political stuff. So
woot.
Dustin wanted to talk about political activism and guns.
Yes, I do. I think it is incumbent on all of us as gun owners to be politically active. I'm gonna pick on someone for a second. Adriel, who's your what's the name of your MP?
Kelly McClung.
Ooh, have you had a meeting with them?
I have emailed him and sent letters.
Hey, all right, that's better than most. That is really, really good. I'm assuming you probably got a conservative MP, maybe? Question mark. Yeah. Hey, I don't know. Kelly?
Edmonton by itself doesn't usually, but
No, yeah, okay.
on the federal side, yes.
Yeah. And then what about your? I don't. Do they call them MLAs out there, or are they MPPs?
I pay no attention to my municipal guy. I know a little bit. My provincial guy, I don't. And I don't really care.
You should, especially you, because your provincial government has really stood on our side a little bit. And my tiny little lecture, the reason this matters is if everybody remembers in 2021 when we all got behind a conservative leader who immediately threw us under the bus when it was necessary to do so. I think it is helpful, even when we live in, not antagonistic writings, for our representations in all forms of government to know that we're here and that what we care about is important to us, and that it is important they make decisions based on facts and evidence, not on people's feelings.
Correct.
So I think, and that's true on all levels, and that's something that literally everybody can do. I'm baffled all the time at how few people know that you can schedule an appointment with your MP. That's a thing that everybody can do. I'm a little bit more known in the Lower Mainland than most. Most of the sitting MPs have had to deal with me at some point. Not just my own, because anytime I encounter somebody who's maybe a little too afraid to go talk to their MP on their own, they're happy to
You
have
go
me
with them?
with them.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, and like, okay, yeah, you schedule the appointment. Tell them you're bringing a friend, and we will corner them with their own hypocrisy. It's true. I mean, that's really what you have to do. I know people get really uncomfortable talking on the subject. You can get flustered. You can get maybe not everybody is super well versed on it. But I think everybody has a responsibility to go let their representations in all forms of government know that those people are representing you, and that your views are this, and that they have a responsibility to represent those views in that government body as well. Yeah, and yeah, I think that it's something that not enough people do or know how to do. If you don't know what your federal riding is, that's a very easy thing to look up. You literally can Google what's my federal riding, and the Government of Canada website will pop up, tell you who your federal MP is. It'll give you the addresses for their constituency office and their Ottawa office, and phone numbers to match, emails as well. And I encourage everybody, go make a face-to-face appointment. When I started getting politically active a while ago now, it's been a decade. It was I got politically active just before Trudeau came to power, but we kind of knew that there was a good chance that was going to happen. And it was really interesting meeting my new federal MP once Trudeau won. It was really interesting. He was a first time MP. He was an entrepreneur. We were pretty close in age, actually, and he was a Liberal MP. First words out of his mouth: "I actually support your right to have a gun for self-defense." And I was like, "Oh, don't tell your party that, because you might want to check on if you're allowed to say things like that, because I don't think you are. And we've built a bit of a rapport over the years because he's been I've moved around a lot because this is Lower Mainland, and nobody can live in one place for too long. So but he's been my federal MP multiple times. I've had a 10-year relationship with him, but I've also had the good misfortune of having Jagmeet Singh be my MP. I had a wonderful opportunity to publicly embarrass him at his first open house. That's a little feather in my cap. Just face him with straight up hypocrisy, and you too can have that fun experience if you try, and just make an appointment. And then so it's a process getting a meeting with your MP, because they obviously they're in Ottawa part of the time, some of them less than others, but they always schedule constituency appointments for during their breaks, and the MPs have given themselves many breaks. We've got one coming up in the summer where they'll magically not work for 3 months, so and just talk with people. And so call a constituency office. Call the constituency office or email them and set up an appointment. I am this person from this riding. I would like to have a meeting on this issue. And they'll respond back to you, ask you for some bullet points on kind of what you're hoping to talk about, what your thoughts or feels are. And honestly, just speak from the heart for the most part. I think people can overcomplicate it a little bit. If you're somebody that's affected by one of these pieces of legislation, or potentially going to be affected by a piece of legislation, let them know that. Let them know it's not okay, or that they're potentially going to be voting for something that could hurt you and or hurt others. And then they'll jerk you around for a while. They will not probably schedule an appointment with you right there. They'll tell you, we'll get back to you in a month to 3 months with a date. And that date will not be convenient for you, probably, which is all to their favor. I've had lots of those where it's like, can you come tomorrow at 2:00 in the afternoon? Sure, I'll make that work. I had a lot of flexibility in my job, so I could often make that work. But then spend the next whatever it is, whether it's a day, a week, a month, or more, start having the conversation with your MP before you've had that conversation with them. And just start putting out your bullet points. I've got whole I got 7-8 pages here, just bullet point kind of stuff, and then just information for me to kind of reference. I know I'm not going to get through all of that, and I'll probably type up a slightly nicer version of that before I do get my meeting. But at least it's really helpful to have a guide to talk to people on those different subjects. And I always recommend, if you have an opportunity to point out their own hypocrisy, that's a great place to start. Obviously the best one is always backed in evidence-based legislation. Where are your facts and your evidence to justify your votes on this? So my what will probably be my final meeting with this MP, because he is not probably going to be my MP in a year and a half if the polls are to be believed. He doesn't have a good chance. So it's more going to be just this round will be holding him accountable for things that he's done. I think that there's not enough of that where you can ask okay, so where has the benefit to any of this legislation been? Where's the end of gun crime once and for all? Because we were promised that, right? Where is, let me just find it.
Just a reduction. How about just a reduction in handgun crime since the freeze?
Yeah.
Because
why haven't we seen any of that? Or why have we not seen a general decrease in firearms crime in the last 4 years, even though we have been prohibited from using any of our guns, any of the 2020 gun ban guns that have been trapped in our gun safes? So you haven't taken them off the street, but they haven't been on the street. They haven't been out of the house in 4 years. Why has gun crime not gone down measurably at all? Or, to talk about something like transparency, we know that the data on firearms crime for 2022 is sitting there not being released, probably intentionally so. And so like things like that are really, really huge. Now I have like an open file with my MP on data that I have been promised that I have not been delivered. And I just, every time I get an email like, oh, just a reminder, we've talked about this 3 different meetings. You guys promised you'd get this. You're the most transparent government. Transparency is supposed to be like by default. So can I get the information you used to vote in support of C71 or and it's always crickets. It's always crickets, but at the very least, you can present their own hypocrisy to them, and that I think is some level of benefit. I also encourage recording them if you can. A lot of these meetings have been happening by Zoom the last couple of years. Used to be a lot of in-face meetings. It's less so now.
Yeah.
But Canada is a single-party consent state. You can tell them you're recording it, but you don't have to. And courtesy of streaming video, it's never been easier to record your Zoom conversation while you're having it and to broadcast to the world later. So, if people feel so inclined, I encourage it. I like to do it. Yeah. And then like, just think about important things that could, that matter. Like, I think, so like I have a whole page on just like, who do you work for? Like, what do you work for the people? Like, what is your responsibility as a federal MP? Are you representing the interests of the people in your riding, or are you representing the interests of the Liberal Party? Because that matters when someone's deciding if you should be voted for again or not, right?
By the way, that's important when you're recording it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
They would answer that politically.
Of course they
Yeah.
will.
Of course
Yeah.
they do.
Of course
But
you get trapped by that. You could trap them with some hypocrisy around guns because they don't know how to answer
Yeah.
that properly.
Yep.
And once they're out of parrot lines, then it's going to
Correct.
be game over pretty quick.
I was really sad, real quick, just one tiny little story about my embarrassing Jugmeat at his open house.
yeah, why aren't we talking about
Why
this?
don't you tell the story? let our listeners in on it.
Okay, so I was living in a house in the Burnaby South riding. Used to be Kennedy Stewart. Then he abdicated that seat so he could take over mayor of Vancouver for 4 years.
Okay.
He was as bad a mayor as he was an MP. He was, anyways, but it's Burnaby South is a very NDP stronghold. It would have been an impossible seat for Jugmeat to lose. So because when he was elected as leader of the party, he didn't have a seat.
Correct.
So he moved from out east to one of the most expensive places he could pick, just so that he could have a seat that he wouldn't lose. Just happened that he moved into my riding, and I'd had a pre-existing relationship with the other MP, even though I didn't find him very helpful. And I tried to get a meeting with Jugmeat. Obviously, him being the leader of the NDP, that was a challenge. But he was doing an open house around Christmas time that year. I think it was in December, in his office. So, just like a constituency open house, and his secretary had let me know. So I was like, okay, great. I'm gonna go do some damage, and it was great. So there was probably 100 people in his office, and he made us all wait. Like, he was supposed to be there, I think, around like 7:30. I don't think he came out until like 8:30. So we just had like an hour to hang out, which meant I had an hour to talk, which was awesome, just to talk to people. And in a small room where we're all together, and I can be loud and very passionate. And somebody asked me, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "Oh, well, let me tell you." Because at the time, the NDP, this was, again, it's so wild how long ago it was. The NDP had a policy within their party policies in support of a municipal handgun ban. So that was the point of attack that I wanted to specifically deal with Jugmeat. I had dealt with Peter Julian on the subject. His stance in the 2 meetings I'd had with him were, "It'll never happen. That's not a big deal. Don't even worry about that." Anyway, politician. But anyway, I wanted to talk about that, and specifically, I wanted to talk about that in relation to their stance on the same thing, fact and evidence-based legislation as a default. So I had an opportunity to sit there and talk with just random people in the neighborhood for an hour on my stance on guns. Again, being a blue-haired queer person helps disarm people in that world a little bit, because I don't have the typical straight white male perspective, I guess. Like, there isn't that, the alarm bells don't go off in people's heads immediately in that world. When I can say, like, yeah, I work professionally around firearms, and I've been doing this for literally my whole life. And, you know, I'm one of you. I'm one of the okay people. It's okay that I can. I've found it's really, really disarming with the general populace of people who don't know anything about that issue, and then just to talk to them, just general people, about how, yeah, I don't think that the party should be making or pursuing a policy that targets a specific small group of people with a piece of legislation that has no fact or evidence basis behind it, but is solely a feel-based thing to make people who don't know anything feel better. And then obviously, like, you can come up with some comparisons around that. I won't do that here, but I did then. Got to talk for like 20 minutes. I had more than one person stop me afterwards and be like, you have changed my mind on this topic. And that felt good. That meant I did my thing already.
Wow.
And I did that while I was waiting for the guy to show up. And then he showed up, and there was like 3 cameras rolling. And he's, you know, doing his little S-weave around through the crowd, shaking hands, asking people, you know, what their issue is. And again, he sees the blue-haired homo who makes a living in the arts, probably a safe person to talk to, with cameras rolling.
That was bait and switch, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. Oh, it was great. He's got the smile. And like, what's your issue? And I'm like, well, I wanted to talk to you about specifically your party. Your party supports like fact and evidence-based legislation, right? Like, you believe solely in, like, when you make a law, that law should have a fact and evidence-based approach to it, correct? Well, of course, yeah, that's how we should do all laws. Like, right. So then you shouldn't support your own party's policy on the prohibition, on the municipal prohibition on handguns. Right? There's no facts or evidence to back up that particular stance. And I think I had made that a little bit more eloquent at the time. It was the most beautiful thing.
Oh.
Because again, he's got cameras rolling and there's like 100 people in the room. So he can't change his face, but the hate that I saw in his eyes. It was worth it, because like, I knew obviously nothing is going to change there, and that particular piece of footage filmed by the NDP is going to be deleted and never ever looked at. Nobody will ever see it, but I'll know what happened, and the people in that room will also know what happened. And I also had an opportunity to change a couple of extra minds there, and smack him in the face with his own hypocrisy. And if nothing else, it felt good. Well,
there you go. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I really want other people to have that experience as well. And they should. I will say, after that, he definitely remembered me, because it was harder to get a meeting with him after that. Yeah, it was impressively hard to get a meeting with him after that. But that's okay. I mean, that's the price to pay, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I'd say like being able to talk to him with 100 people around and cameras and that kind of thing is more impactful than behind closed doors, where
correct,
he can be hypocritical, and that's fine.
It's true.
Right?
Yeah. No, it's true. At the very least, he's limited in what he can and can't say when there's a whole bunch of people around. An MP can lie to you, and they're politicians. They lie by default. If their mouth is moving, they're probably not saying something
they're
true.
Gonna lie.
Yeah. Right. And we all know that. And that's again why I'm an advocate for also record your meetings with your MPs. Like, if you get a Zoom meeting, I think that's a great thing. As much as like I do like a face-to-face meeting, I think a Zoom meeting where you have the ability to, like, you know, record your meeting with them and then like have that forever and hold them to it, I think is a phenomenal thing. I think more people need to do that sort of thing. And even if you only get one little point across for just a second, I think it's beneficial. But I also think it's really important that we let the people who are, you know, on our side, you know, as far as the Conservative Party is concerned, know that this matters to us too, because we saw just a few years ago that there's a lot of folks who are happy to take us for granted. We saw it in the very last, in like the 2015 election, the Conservatives kind of threw us under the bus a little bit there too, right? We were pushing at a weird time for things. I guess we weren't as organized as we are now. But we kind of got let down with the Common Sense Firearms Licensing Act, if y'all remember that wonderful thing, and it's just been kind of downhill ever since. So I think we need to push everybody, the Conservatives as well, and let them know that we are here and that this matters to us, and that it's not just a throwaway issue.
Correct.
They have to do our stuff. They don't just get the vote by default. They have to
So-
do something for it.
Yeah.
The one thing that I really want to push, and I really want to push for, because I believe it could happen personally, and it's been the motivation for all this, and it's my motivation. It will be my motivation when I have a Conservative member of Parliament sitting in this riding. My big dream is to have one tiny little change added to everyone's ATT. I want everyone with an RPAL who gets an ATT to have one tiny little change, one little notation made anywhere where firearms may lawfully be discharged. If you could add that tiny little stipulation as a place that your ATT authorizes you to take firearms, to take restricted firearms, shoot handguns in the bush.
Yeah.
It's what I want. I want it more than anything. More than anything. But I don't know. That's my dream for like asking more than just fix everything. It's like, obviously we're gonna get to potentially watch Pierre disassemble with a sledgehammer 9 years of bad legislation while flipping off Trudeau across the aisle, or well, it won't be Trudeau probably, maybe, I don't know, maybe, but some of whatever remains of the Liberal Party will have to watch as powerless as we have felt for the last 9 years. And we'll probably get like all of the bad stuff reversed, but this is the time for us to be pushing for the Common Sense Firearms Licensing Act. This is the time for us to be pushing for a the simplified classification system. My apologies. This is the time for us to be pushing for a studs, like rip it down to the studs, the Firearms Act, and completely rebuild it. Put people who actually know things about firearms in charge of writing it, and put in some protections for us, because any of the protections that existed didn't help us. The protections that were supposed to exist, obviously around the OIC, didn't help us. Like, as far as like, well, no, there's supposed to be this protection where if this firearm is reasonable for use in hunting or in sport shooting, it can't be prohibited. Yeah, but we've decided we're the ones who decide what is reasonable, not you.
Yeah.
So,
Dustin, it can be easier. We can just use simplified classification.
I want it. I want it so bad. I want that too. The simplified classification system, no magazine capacity restrictions. Magazine capacity restrictions are stupid. Anybody with a 3D printer has an unlimited magazine capacity. And
anyone with a metal brake, anyone
Yes.
with some basic shop tools, like for high school.
Anybody with a garage and just like somehow too has that problem solved, can have all of those things, all of the things that we heavily regulate. And that's the other danger. That's been the danger. I'm sure you guys have seen it too, with folks in our community who we're very proud law-abiding gun owners. Even though some of our laws were really stupid, we still agreed, like, here's the line, we don't cross it, you guys don't mess with us. And then they said, oh, that doesn't matter anymore, we'll just keep taking. And the downside to that has been people saying like, oh, the rules don't matter. Great. Okay, then maybe the rules around, this pin doesn't matter, or, what I'm going to make in my garage in the spare time doesn't matter. And that's the danger. That's bad. It's bad for our community. It's bad for society, right?
Yep.
So, yeah. Anyway, I just want people to get more politically active, because there aren't enough of us. There's just not. When we did the pamphlet, the CCFR pamphlet drive in 2021, I think I had like 8 volunteers in the Lower Mainland. There's 2.5 million people here. There's like 600,000 gun owners. I had no help, and there, that's we got to do better. We've got to do better.
I absolutely 100% agree. There is going to be an election in 14 months, and we have 14 months to prepare for this, because it will happen. And by the way, right now the news is out saying that the Liberal Party, especially Justin Trudeau, is at Michael Ignatieff levels right now, which means horrible.
Yeah.
The worst ever is also what I've heard as well. So we know that there will be a change of government. There will be. There's no getting
Yeah.
back from the fact that people can't afford to live. So actively being involved, and you're absolutely right. I did the pamphlets in my area, which is Kingston, which is a liberal stronghold. Mark Gertson's not taking my phone calls, by the way. Nor is he taking any of his constituents have actually contacted him, because after the OIC, he was inundated by people that are in his riding, and he says, this is not an issue I want to talk to you about, so please stop phoning, please stop emailing, I will not change my mind. I'm going, you, and he hadn't asked me anything on something on Facebook as well, social media. Anyways, he had asked me anything that was taking place, and I was on it, and I asked him about it, and he says, this is not something I'm willing to talk about. And I'm going, you do know that if your constituents are mad and they're calling you in, he said that the numbers were astronomical. He's never seen anything like it. I said, that means something. That means your constituents are unhappy, and there's a reason why, and maybe you should be taking those phone calls. And he says, no, I don't want to hear it. So again, it's a liberal stronghold here. My MPP is also a liberal as well, and my previous municipal councillor was also somebody who supported more handgun overseeing by the municipality. And he was somebody that it was something that the CCFR went to, because it was one of the first real municipals that were trying to actually gain more power and have a say about handguns in the community. So we went there that one night, and my counselor, when he was coming around, and he was a really young guy, we were asking him about firearms and firearms laws and that, and he says, that's a federal thing, I don't worry about it. And so he was voted in, and he represented us, but he also supported this motion that was being put forward, and to actually give more oversight to the municipalities. And I'm going, you came around and you actually said that wasn't something that was the purview of the municipalities. And he says, well, I think, he goes, it was great to see you. I heard from the most constituents ever about this. So you know what that means? It means that people were, and I said, and when you heard it from your constituents, what were they saying? And he said, they were saying that they don't agree with it. And I said, then why are you voting in favor of it? And he goes, well, I felt it was my responsibility to vote in the way that I felt best suited.
No, you're
my constituent. And I said, we didn't elect you for that. We elected you so that you could represent us.
Yes.
And he goes, maybe next time I'll do that. And I said, the next time there's a municipal election, I'll make it my mission to make sure that you aren't representing us. And he stepped down for the next one.
Good.
So
good. We need so much more of that. So much more of that. I mean, I had some level of that conversation with Terry Beach, my MP. It's sort of like he's a cabinet minister now, right? He got his cabinet position this last time, and that was the last conversation. He's like, "Well, so you have a cabinet minister now, so like I have to vote the way the government.
You have to vote in favor of the party line. No, you don't. Yes,
no, you don't." And we had a whole conversation. I was like, "You do have an option." And if you don't want to, if you don't want to man up and do like the hard thing and
don't show up,
that was exactly what it said. You always have the ability to not show up for that vote. You can let them know ahead of time. And I know that, so it's sort of the same thing. The Burnaby North Seymour riding that I live in is big rural riding. There's like just northern bit of Burnaby, and then there's a whole bunch of rural BC that is also part of it. And boy, he heard from his constituents too. And he told me, he's like, I cannot tell you how many people I've heard from. So much so that he did have to insist that for this riding, there's no advertisements on anything anti-gun related as part of his last run in 2021. He was like, no, I'm not running on that part of the platform. There's no material for that. I'm like, great. Now do the hard thing and don't vote for it. It's not complicated, right?
Yeah.
But I will make it my mission to make sure that he is not elected again. I didn't focus on this riding in the when we did our last pamphlet push. I've got so many more people willing to help me now, and every single house in this riding, I promise you will get one of those pamphlets this next time. And anything else I can do to make sure he doesn't have a seat, I'll do it.
So going back to the pamphlet push, spent a couple of days. There was one guy that, and I'm saying one guy, there was one guy that spent a whole entire week. He took a week off work and he just plastered Kingston. We did not even do half of Kingston, but what we did do was get noticed because Mark Garrettson took that pamphlet to the House of Commons and he stood up and he said, the anti-gun lobby is in my constituency. Right?
I love it.
Yeah.
That makes me so happy. I think I remember that when that happened. That's great. That's got to feel good because you got under his skin, right? Like, absolutely. That's so good. And more, we need more of that. We need every one of those MPs coming into the House of Commons with one of those pamphlets. Like, this is a problem.
Yeah. And I said anti-gun. I memeant gun lobby.
Gun lobby, yeah.
But yeah, so I know that they could put a duck with into Kingston and Thousand Islands as the MP and they'd probably win. But
right now things are just not looking good for them anywhere. I guess we'll see. At the end of the day, we've got another 14 months till we find out. But I think at the end of the day, I think it would be really, really great if every one of the MPs that are in that party had one of those pamphlets and they knew that the gun lobby was in their riding. And I want all of them to remember that when they lose their jobs, all of them. No, for real, so that it's another 20 years before they think about doing something stupid like this again. Like,
that's about the time frame. Yeah.
That's exactly. It's exactly the cycle. You look at the last big gun control regime, 96, 97, that was when the long gun registry came in, and they did that in increments too. It was between like 95 and 97. They did kind of like a couple of things. Like first it was registry, but we're not going to take anything. Just tell us what you got. And then a couple of years later, once they had enough registry, you're like, great, now we're going to start rolling up to people's doors. And that's when short barrel handguns got banned. That's when a lot of semi-autos got banned. And we've just experienced the exact same thing 20 years later. I think we'll be in a different world 20 years from now with the way, things are going, the way the maker community is going. I don't know if it'll be a problem in 20 years that they could solve, but I mean, at the end of the day, they're still willing to ignore the bigger problem of what's on the other side of the border, right? Like you live in Kingston, is that not the same riding where the chief of police was like, yeah, 97% of our crime guns have an American origin?
No, that was the chief in Toronto.
Oh, in Toronto. Okay, right.
It was Toronto. No, I'm literally half an hour from the border. I one of the major border crossings in Canada. I am half an hour from, right? So I'm also in the capital of the center of the universe for penitentiaries in Canada as well, where we see all of those gangs and gun crimes. And I will say gun crimes because people also use knives and other things too, right? But yeah. Anyway.
I just, none of it has stopped anything. Though the one thing I'm excited to, I'm going to bring a video. I like bringing video clips in. So my last meeting with Terry Beach, I actually clipped a few little bits from a few of the CCFR videos because none of the MPs actually sit through any of the SECU stuff or any of the meetings around any of these issues. They just, take the word for the 2 or 3 MPs that are sitting there. And Rod had already done all of the hard work of clipping the bits with Naj Mohammed and Pam Damoff just ignoring the what was arguably probably the most important key speaker that they could have been paying attention to. And so the same thing, ask Terry, I'm like, yeah, so you're taking the word on them. They're paying attention, right? So you don't have to. Yeah. Does this look like attention? Wasn't this was the guy that they were supposed to be listening to? Do you think my folks got any kind of like representation, if this is how they were paying attention to the guy that they swore up and down that they were going to listen to before they made their decisions. No. Bring in little things like that. It's so easy now. It's so easy. It's so easy. But I really want to bring in a little bit of video. Oh shoot, I've forgotten what it was going to be. I totally blanked. But I do want to bring in some video again. I recommend people do that. Bring in a couple of little clips. Bring in some clips of Trudeau lying about things. That never hurts either. Like, you guys don't know how to tell the truth. Like,
That'd be a long video.
The recent one this week was not good. It didn't look good on him when he was talking about that people were getting money back into their pockets after, and then he laughed at the end of it. That one did not go well with anybody, including his own MPs. They were backpedaling a little bit and apologizing for it.
I remember. Yeah, that's absolutely. I think it's great. There's just that stuff is starting to stack up more and more. He's getting a lot less latitude with like even the CBC journalists and hosts who would normally carry more water for him than, for somebody who's dying of thirst. The video that I wanted to bring in this next time when I see Terry is actually, I don't know if you all saw the little machine gun violence that we had in White Rock. Like the area that happened in is a nice area. It's a nice, quiet, like retirement area of like, it's a quiet suburb away from anything, even city related. It's absolutely wild that happened. But I want to bring in that and just ask, like, how come the 2020 gun ban that you supported didn't stop this? Didn't you promise this was what we wouldn't get? Like, that looks like a machine gun. Like, I don't know. That guy seems to have a full capacity magazine. Didn't you guys ban those? Like, I don't know. It's just it's absolute absurdity, and they know it. And I think it's incumbent on all of us to put it in their face a little bit.
Didn't come from us. I know where it came from.
Oh yeah, no, we all know where it really came from, right?
By the way, cocaine and meth is very lucrative, so they're probably in your neighborhood, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the assumption. Whoever's selling that cocaine and meth was probably living in that $3 million house in White Rock. Like, it's a nice.
They're not the guy down in, downtown Vancouver. They're the guy that's actually, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. The guy living in like a neighborhood like mine. We live in a really nice neighborhood here. We rent a mansion. So there's like 6 of us, but we live in a nice house. But watching that video, I was like, oh, I guess living in a nice neighborhood doesn't stop you from having some real severe gun violence go on.
No.
No, somebody actually robbed the Domino's down like a block away from us. I'm assuming it was with an airsoft gun, but it was a handgun. Got the little police alert. Entertaining. Anyway, yeah, that's my spiel. People should get politically involved. It's not as hard or as scary as people think it is, and honestly, like CCFR has done a lot of good work for us in that regard. There's so many resources that they have on their site now that didn't exist when I started. And if anybody wants to know where to start there. Go to some of the explainer videos. Look at just some of the really, really straightforward, fact-based content. Take that to your MP if you don't know what to say.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Dogs.
All good. I love dogs, so I apologize. I tend to ramble a lot. That's just my spiel. I think everybody should do a little bit more of that. We've got lots of wonderful resources for us now. And everybody can be a little bit more politically active.
They can, because guess what? If they're not, stop complaining.
We don't get to complain if we aren't politically active. And that's the end all be all of it. I wasn't old enough to deal with any of the stuff that went on in the 90s, but I am now. And if you're old enough to have a gun license, you're old enough to be politically active now.
I don't want to talk about how old I was in the 90s.
Yeah.
This is your fault, Kelly. This is your people's fault.
Yeah, why weren't you being politically active for us in the 90s?
I was the exact opposite of what you wanted me to be.
Did you meet your MP in 98? Come on.
Nope.
Gosh. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we got a few comments here. Sporting Rifle is saying, and if your MP is from an anti-gun party, they will listen to you, maybe even agree with you, and vote along party line.
Correct.
Probably.
Yeah.
And then
But
he also
they'll feel
says,
really bad. They'll be like,
Yeah.
"God, my life is a sham. I'm just a hack. I'm a complete hypocrite. That's all my job is."
But here's the thing.
You'll hollow them out from the inside.
They'll do that, but you don't know how many other people have been to their office with the exact same issue. Like I said, it was enough of an issue that Terry Beach had to separate himself from all of it during his campaign. And
he still ran as, and he still ran.
He still ran as a liberal. Oh, yeah, no, 100%. But I think the more of us, like, if it's the more vocal we are now, that's a thing to remember when they don't win next time, right? Like, maybe instead of 50 people coming to their office or having meetings about it, if maybe 200 people, maybe more, and then they don't win that time, and you get enough of that, and you might learn a lesson from it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. Yeah. Also says, "Let me be a buzzkill. You put too much faith in the CPC. I wish for all that too, but they are politicians, and we are less than 10% of voters."
Yeah, they said they'd repeal C-71. If I could just use my AR again, I think it'd be more happy than I am now.
I am
more
thinking,
happy, yeah.
I'm thinking, and based on the polls that I'm seeing right now, that people, and I'm not just talking about gun owners, I'm talking about, soccer moms who can't actually afford to put their kids in soccer or fill the van.
Yeah.
They're really unhappy as well, and so they're no longer towing the Liberal or NDP line. So I think that 10% of voters, if 10% of the voters do get out, do you know how many people in Canada go and vote during federal elections?
2%.
Not a lot. So if we actually showed up, it would actually have a huge impact.
It's so true.
Don't split the freaking votes this time.
Yeah.
Oh,
people make me crazy, and I'm already crazy enough. So stop.
The CPC will, yeah. Here, let me burst some other folks' bubbles. The CPC are our best hope. The People's Party will never hold power. They will never hold a seat. Stop wasting your votes. I even just vote conservative, even if you don't think they're the best, because they are honestly your best chance. And yes, they're politicians and they're sleazy and they lie and they'll throw us under the bus just like anybody else. But if we come out and show in force like that we are a voting bloc, they'll listen to us, at least to some level.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Supposing we were actually threatening on who we're going to vote for.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? It's either we vote conservative or we just don't vote. But how many seats did the Conservatives not win in 21 because of the People's Party vote splitting? 1,000 votes. There's 14 seats, so there was a lot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's a thing. People need to not split the vote.
Yeah, and when people are talking about making a difference and giving you what you want, whether it's casual Fridays and whatever it is that people are promising you, you also have to figure out what's going to be best. What's going to be best, because the reality is people that are from minority parties that aren't going to be elected, they're not going to win.
No.
And you have to, for lack of a better term, vote according to the good, right? The greater good.
Yeah.
Right? It might be a pain to actually do it, but just freaking do it.
I also I don't know about you guys, and no, maybe I don't have a whole ton of faith in the whole of the political system. I think just as a result of what's kind of churning, I think Pierre's going to have to change things. If he has a hope of a second mandate, I think we're going to see some shakeups in the first one. I think we're going to see some dramatic change in the first 100 days of his prime minister, him holding that office. I think it's our best hope in 20 years. So,
well, I think you're right, because if he doesn't do anything the first term,
he's done.
People will remember, Harper, we got nothing in the first term. We got everything later.
Yeah.
They'll remember that and be like, oh, well, you lied to us. You're just dicking us around again.
if he ends up with a super majority, which is what he's looking at, like if we had the election today, more seats than they've ever had before, there is no excuse not to do every single thing that he said. There's nothing stopping them. So let's give him a chance.
Yep.
What's the worst that could happen? Is it going to get worse than a fourth term of Trudeau?
Yeah. No, I
No.
agree. It's the best option out there. I like everything he's saying, but yeah, they're politicians, but they are the best option.
Yeah.
Let's be real, it will hurt.
Yep.
Because it's going to hurt bad, and people are not going to like that either.
No, that's the thing, is that the correction that he's going to have to make, and that's the other thing people need to be aware of, like, the fun sunny ways are coming to an end. The credit card bill has come due. The money's been spent, and now there's some cuts that are going to happen. People aren't going to be happy, but the country as a whole needs to be fixed, and that's the only way to do it.
Yeah.
The only way to do it is make sure that people are going back to work. Like, I want my Tim Hortons at 2:00 in the morning. Where are you people that are not working?
I miss late. I know I miss late night Tim Hortons.
Late night drive-thrus. Hello.
Yeah, no, it's wild. It's one thing I'm enjoying when I get to go to the States, is there's still stuff that's like open 24 hours.
We had another comment here from Angela. Like
Hey,
what you're
Angela.
saying. I love that I have lived for decades in a conservative stronghold, but I also go out in the liberal ridings around my area and represent.
Yeah, you do. Angela, you rock.
So Angela is a friend of mine, and Angela is very closely connected to the criminal justice system as well. And she lives in an area that is, as she says, conservative, but there are several liberal MPs and not around her. So I like the fact that she's doing something about it.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. She's a strong woman that's in the gun community. So we need more of those, just loud and proud, right?
I love that so much. I really do. If I can just gush about our community as a whole, I love that. I love seeing really strong women in the gun community. I love the diversity in the gun community. I really do. It's a neat community, and it's unlike a lot of things, which is kind of weird because it's painted with one brush, and when you get down below the surface a little bit, there's a lot more. There's a lot of awesome humans.
We're not all Kyles.
No.
We're not all white guys with like the sunglasses in the car, just filming in the vehicle. The liberals.
No. Yeah, those guys hate me, but some of those guys hate me. But sorry, but it's true. We all want the same thing, I think. Like Rod says, I just want to be left alone. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to go shoot guns in the woods. Leave me alone.
Right. Let's move on to listener feedback. And Adriel, you want to read this email from Tony?
Good evening, Slamfire Radio. I shot my first sanctioned IPSC match on Sunday at the BTSA. To be honest, it doesn't feel very much different from a club level match, just more people overall. The weather was not great in the morning. It was cold and pouring rain for the most part. And I believe it's actually the first time I've shot the Kodiak K9 in full shower conditions. It performed well in the morning, but as the day went on, it had more malfunctions. I had a double feed and an FTE on stage 4 and 5, respectively, out of 6 stages, and that cost me quite a bit of time. I like that matches Taylor's description of the PCC Nationals 2023, as it was raining as well. With diluted lubrication, the blowback PCCs do seem to have more issues. Diluted. We're using a water-based lubrication. You're not supposed to use KY in the gun. You're supposed to use gun lube. So.
The gun lube, yeah.
I'm just joking. With the chamber flag installed, it's likely that your chamber is exposed to the falling water from the sky. Yep. Of course, the rifle's filthy at the end of the day. Please see it attached. It was dirty. It wasn't that filthy, though. I've seen, like, all of Kelly's loaner 22s are worse than this.
I've heard that those canines really like to be clean, though. Like, both clean and really well lubed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad. I'm looking at the picture now. That's not bad.
It's not bad. It's not that bad. it gets worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with a PC, like with a blowback PCC. Yeah, they puke carbon and all into the action, the bolt face and the trigger, like everything will get coated.
Yeah.
I basically unbuilt the whole thing, and it's still in pieces at the moment. I also found out that from the IPSC PCC rulebook is nowhere as clear as the pistol rule set. It's actually less clear compared to the USPSA PCC rule set. For example, there's no clear ruling on a chamber flag that falls out due to gravity. Just something to think about. I recently did it. Yeah, because if you have it locked, the bolt lock back, and you go muzzle up,
And
then you don't lock the bolt
Bolt
back.
back.
You put the chamber flag in, and you put the bolt forward to rest against the chamber flag.
in some
Some
things you got to
places.
lock the bolt to show the chamber and then do the things. So
Yeah.
But I agree.
I don't think the
pull
rule
the
books
bolt
have
back.
caught
Yeah,
up
you
to
have to
us.
lock it back to show clear, and then you put your once you're clear. Sometimes, you have to hammer down, pull the trigger, put in your chamber flag, and you let your bolt rest against the chamber flag.
I think that part's redundant. If you put the chamber flag in, it can't have a round in it unless your chamber flag is fake and it's like it doesn't go into the barrel at all, right?
Yeah.
Some guys will like cut theirs so that they can just put it in there, but like that's defeating the purpose of the chamber.
Yeah.
You just have a dummy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sounds
Okay.
fun.
Tony, congrats on shooting in
Yeah.
Maple Seed weather.
I also had maple seed weather on my maple seed. It was years ago, but
Yeah, you're welcome. So it's 30 degrees, 35 degrees all across the areas, right? And I'm going to PEI this weekend. And so on Thursday, it's 30 degrees. I arrive on Friday, and the next couple of days, it's 21 degrees and chance of rain. So you're welcome.
Well, Central Alberta has a frost warning right now.
Yeah, that's you.
No, it's
Wow.
not me.
Adriel. That's Frosty.
you,
That's Adriel.
you need to come out here in the summertime when we're in drought conditions, like or
I
maybe we could,
I rent myself out.
I don't know why is like northern BC, which is like constantly on fire, not just having maple seeds with you in attendance, because we could probably like solve one,
Right?
and then Trudeau can shut up too, be like Canada's not on fire anymore, and it's thanks to guns.
Right?
And Kelly specifically.
Kelly specifically, you could be Canada's savior, Kelly.
Here I come to save the day, Kelly, and the rain is on its way.
I think we should start a company. That'd be good.
It's part of our official welcome to Project Maple Seed. If you're having a drought, we rent ourselves out. Just contact info@mapleseedrifleman.com. We'll come and do an event.
That's
Nice.
pretty bulletproof. I love it.
Yep.
We had another email here. Hi, guys and gal. Here's an article debunking one of the standard taunts from the anti-gun crowd. For the record, I own many firearms, including semi-autos and military firearms. I would assume, like our host, I'm quite happy. From Edmund. And basically, I think it came to that. I don't know. I didn't read it, but it was about male member sizes and owning guns.
I read it. It was
Yeah, I did read
about do gun owners have small dicks or not? Are
It's
they
an
are they
inverse
compensating for
relationship.
something?
Yeah, this turns out. Well, apparently, like their sample size wasn't massive, but
And
No pun
question
intended.
Was
yeah,
the question wasn't like they didn't go measure everyone's dick.
No,
The
they looked
question
at
was, are you satisfied?
Yeah,
And they
Yeah.
were. Gun owners
Yeah.
were like not worried about it. They were satisfied.
Ever notice that people bring out male appendages when it's anything that people don't really necessarily like? For example, they were saying it about some Harleys,
Or big
noisy-
trucks.
Yeah,
or
the
lifted
noisy
trucks,
pipes,
yeah.
right? Or the lifted trucks, or
Yeah.
or guns. It's
It's a lazy insult. There's better insults.
right.
yeah.
All right, and on to our YouTube comments. We got a few this week. So first one from Kilroy. Many hours spent on the CFB board and ranges during my time in the cadets and reserves. Adriel, do you think this is something we might be able to do here in Edmonton?
Maybe one of the shoe bosses is working on this right now.
Mhm.
Maybe. Just there is a chance.
There is a chance.
I don't like to promise too much and not deliver. So yeah, maybe someone's working on this. Not me though.
Yeah. Eddie commented on episode 558. I thought Diversity Dave was going to reapply. $2,500 worth of Cabela's gift certificates. That's a lot of purchasing. If he uses the affiliate link, that will be some good support for the show.
Right?
You have to buy them in person.
Oh,
You have to buy them in person. You can't buy them online.
okay.
And he
never
didn't
mind.
reapply.
But-
He was just like, that was just a topic.
What do you mean you have to buy? Oh, you have to use the gift cards in person?
You have to buy the
Buy
gift
them.
cards in person.
Yeah, but
to
when you
get that
use the
10%
gift
off.
cards, you could still use the link.
Yes, you can't use it to purchase the gift cards, but you could use it to purchase the goods. You can't
Yeah.
use it on both. Yeah.
Can't double dip on that one.
And $2,500 isn't a lot. If you think about some ammo purchases, you want to buy like 1,000 rounds of 223, which every once in a while, Cabela's will have the best price on it. Or shotgun shells. Cabela's frequently has the best price on shotgun shells. You can blow $250 to $700 like that.
Like
Just
that,
buying
yeah.
it cheap and stacking it deep. So $2,500.
Oh yeah.
I could do that in a year at Cabela's.
Tony comments. We're back to episode 559. Bore rod? No, we stare down the barrel.
I always like to know
uh-huh.
what we were talking about when these comments come up.
That
It was the
cleaning. Actually, that one I think was cleaning guns, and then
Axe Improve. Axe Improve.
yeah, but that
Work
came
down
up
the
on
barrel.
that discussion there. Yeah. Tony goes on. I believe now YouTube ruling is a lot more clear than before, at least from the magazine front. 30 round mags are okay. 31s and up are no. So mag pull sticks of 27 are okay. Glock sticks of 33 are not.
They did make it a lot more clear. Like if you go look at their policy now, it's like you can't show making ammo. You can't do reloading anymore. You can't do assembling a lower for an AR-15. All that stuff, which is that one actually is kind of a shame because assembling a lower is kind of a pain in the butt. So being able to watch someone do it on YouTube while you do it is for a new person who's assembling one is probably like really great.
Well, you still
It's
can,
a good
though.
idea. Like
You still can. It's just it's I think it's
Demonetized.
age restricted
Demonetized.
and demonetized, right?
So it may be demonetized right now, but I'm pretty sure. Like, is this demonetized or you just not? This is content restrictions.
Yeah, but it's an age restriction. So like I think as long as you're 18 and you have a YouTube account, you're still like it's
Oh, I
not those
see.
videos aren't
Mhm.
going off of YouTube. They're going to be artificially again, I have gone through all of this because of what
They'll be
side
bumped
project.
down to the bottom as well.
The algorithm will completely nerf your interaction with it. So you'd have to go hunting for it. It's not going to pop up in your feed, and it's going to be age restricted. So
Right.
Yeah.
They
So
already
could
do
you,
that with a bunch of stuff.
right. So could you still see all of those
Yep.
YouTube videos about the kids that are currently in school in Russia that are putting together AK-47s in like 30 seconds?
So like there's some weird extra stipulations there for certain exemptions for anything that's like artistic or military or some like government information. There are if you dig into it, there's some weird exceptions. So I don't know how they're going to police that.
Start out every video. This is for all the law enforcement officers out there. Here is how you service your.
This is my artistic interpretation of how we assemble an AR-15.
I'm going to do it as part of a dance.
Right. Right. Slam poetry. There you go.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Tony's saying, I believe reloading is an outright ban. They had that a while ago. You could not show the manufacturing, like making rounds before, right?
I'm pretty sure I have videos.
Yeah, I was going to say that's where I learned how to reload was on YouTube.
I have a video on making an AR-15 while drinking beers too.
Maybe it was just the making and modifying of custom rounds. I don't know. Because I know, like,
I think the old ones might have been just
I know, like,
they're not gonna
Demolition Rash
relook them.
ended up stopping. Like, he was making special shotgun rounds with like Lego heads and all this.
Yeah.
And
Stop.
he stopped showing the making of them. He's like, here, we did this off camera.
Yeah. Yeah, I think some of that stuff, and then anything that's like,
That
again,
was a while ago.
yeah, any of the printer stuff too. I think that's all super not okay now. So
Tony comments yet again. Adriel, get your boys a Lee APP, and they can do all the brass prep, T-cap, swage. I think now it can prime brass too.
I like hand primer. Good feel.
Yeah.
Eddie has a couple comments here. Adriel, from what I've seen online and in person, ceramic level 4 armor does very well in keeping the spalling away from the user. The ceramic fragments fly outwards from the body.
I think at that time we were talking about steel. So steel spalling is bad.
That anti-spall that they put on there is good for one round. And even then, it's not even really that great.
Yeah, whereas ceramic is very good for spall. So
just not good for multiple rounds.
Sometimes I misspeak though, so maybe I said that in relation to ceramic or something like that. But I meant steel. Steel is definitely what will spall.
Yeah. Your Raven should be fine to use in a match without cleaning because it probably doesn't have rust preventative applied to it. And he also says, very surprised to hear about the 940 Jam Pro, considering the great shooter who endorsed it, Jerry Michalik.
Yeah, but you don't know how many how many guns he has in order to get through a match, or how carefully he needs to keep those things running.
And all his guns, he's not having the off-the-shelf gun. Doesn't matter if his name is on it or not. He's not getting the off-the-shelf gun. And I mean, they probably paid him. He's been endorsing for them for years.
Yeah, he's not getting one that
he got paid pretty good for that, and he's got his that works, and he knows what he does with it. But I agree, it's very surprising. You'd think with the name like that on there, it should be semi-reliable, but
Jam Pro.
Yeah.
Do any of you guys follow his daughter?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
she's the best. She's absolutely.
She's doing some awesome stuff. Yeah. Gowan Lithoian says, "Well, guys, thanks for the very detailed explanation on competition shotguns. I'll keep an eye on the M2 and the 1301."
Oh, we should talk about 3-gun shotguns as a topic all on its own. Yeah. In the future.
Sounds good. Tony from 25 minutes ago commented on the Olight red dot RMR footprint. Need Runkle to explain, or no, they must have gotten refreshed because I saw this before we started, but on the Olight red dot RMR footprint, need Runkle to explain how that works. For example, Magpul advertising their magazine would fit a Glock, or Vortex advertising their new Defenders with a Delta Point Pro footprint. And that's kind of what I was thinking too. Why wouldn't they just say RMR or whatever? But
they're afraid of being sued.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But that is it for YouTube. I haven't kept up with comments from Facebook. Yeah. If you want to support the show, we have a Cabela's link and a Brownells link. If you go to our website, click on the side banner. I'll take you to their websites. They'll give us a little kickback. And we would like to thank all our supporters, including those ones on Player and Patreon. And if you'd like to send the show an email, you can send an email to slamfireradio@gmail.com, and we'll read it out on the air. And also, we got Discord up, so join our Discord channel. And
go on over there.
Yep. Shoutouts. Do you have any shoutouts?
I do.
Yeah, I got one to the guys at Sherwood Park, guys and gals at the Sherwood Park event who helped make it successful. Thank you very much. The match was great. I didn't RO or anything. It was amazing. It just shot.
Nice.
I wanted to give Dave Cracky as well as Chris Wooten, and then also Brian Bolivar as well for all their help at the known distance, and it was a really great time to hang out with everybody, people that I really like to associate with, but it was a really smooth event and we learned some things from it, and I think this is fantastic that it's going to be hopefully taken across the country maybe even into Edmonton or areas.
Maybe.
I also wanted to say thanks to Dustin for coming on tonight and having a discussion that some people we're a gun. We always said that we were not a political podcast, but let's be real, we do have to be political
Guns have
because we're a
been
gun
made political.
podcast, right? And then also, I just wanted to say I forgot about what we did in guns. She Shoots this past week was our episode with Taylor Reich and Melanie. Sorry, I keep saying Melody. So they were on talking about PCC nationals, and they're both national champions, but also shooting together as a couple too. So it was an awesome episode. I told them that we would get them on Slamfire as well. So I'll reach out and get them to come on and chat about that. But it's really great to see more and more couples shooting together too. And also equally underrepresented part of the community too. Yeah.
If I
Very
could just
rare. Very
thank
jealous.
you guys for having me. That was I appreciate it. I apologize for rambling. I have a tendency to ramble, but you guys are awesome, and any opportunity I get to be on here is always a lot of fun.
Well, thank you.
A ton of
Thanks
fun
for coming
having
on.
you. Yeah.
Also, small shout out to Lee. You know who you are. Design a shotgun stage where the mag's empty when we start. Please. I've been practicing.
Unloaded start.
Full. No, not the magazine needs to be unloaded. There's a guy with an FD12 and like a 14-round mag. That needs to be empty.
Oh.
I agree.
Yeah, I want a truly empty shotgun start. So that's
You need to. Okay, so the way to do that is you have a stage where all your shotgun ammo is in a box. Anyone who's got a mag, it's gonna hurt.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, I want to shout out everybody who came out to our match on Saturday, and actually most everybody showed up early to help set up, and they stuck around, helped tear down. It went really smooth. So shout out everyone who came out for that.
Sweet.
And with that, we are going to sign off. So join our Discord server, watch us on Facebook, YouTube, and Player. Join the CCFR, and well, we'll add one in here. Contact your MLA, your MP,
And MP,
yeah,
MP.
your counselor.
Yeah.
Do it all.
do it
Your
all.
mother.
Yeah, give your mom a call, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Get that
Bye.
goal.